All right. Well, here we are. Right here.
The same spot.
This place we've always been.
As always.
A year later.
Haven't moved.
This spot's still here.
Yep.
The wall's still white.
This might be new.
That looks new.
Yeah.
Distraction makers.
Welcome to our year in review for the second year of Distraction Makers. Technically...
It's like 2.5.
No, it's 2. It's under 2, actually, I think. Well, it's weird because we started the original podcast a long time ago with like the 4 of us, and then this new incarnation of it, I think, is about...
I thought the first state of the channel was done a little after a year, because we started...
Yeah, but we're a little before the second year now.
Yeah, but we started in like August.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh.
So...
This is officially the second year of Distraction Makers.
I think we've been doing this for 2 years at least.
All right. Well, whatever. This is we're gonna mark December now as the end of our year. So next year we'll do another one in December. So this will be the second year. But yeah, we figure we just go over how the year went, some of our highest highs and lowest lows, and just kind of have a little hangout episode.
Yeah, going to chat a little bit about notable moments from this past year with the channel, and then talk a little bit just about what we've been up to personally, future stuff for the channel, future projects, all that type of thing.
Well, let's get started with, I guess, our top 5 videos.
Yes, we have a few lists we're going to go through here.
Yes.
Okay, so number 5,
yeah,
we have It's Official, a new era of Magic design.
Has begun.
Yes. Okay. And that's the
thumbnail says,
RIP Standard.
Rest in peace, Standard.
Listen up, Mark. Mark, we love you.
We do.
Sincerely, we love you a lot.
We really appreciate how open you've been with the design of Magic the Gathering. In fact, we might not be here right now if he had not been so open.
That's very true.
All that being said,
what's going on? It's just after Vivi, right? It took over, and basically everyone was playing as that prowess, right?
I think it was before that.
It was before that?
I think it was the first time.
The first is that prowess.
Yeah,
before Vivi.
Yes, before Vivi.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the rumors of Standard's demise may have been a little exaggerated here, but I don't know, though. So...
it got worse actually afterwards.
It did get worse. Really, the video was about the shift in design that we saw coming out of Wizards of the Coast in terms of priorities, where Standard is just not prioritized really anymore. To focus on Commander.
When we started this channel, I think explicitly said, as we started talking about Magic stuff more, we're like, okay, well, we don't want to become a Magic news channel. And the reason why is because you always have to chase the next thing, and you have to be really on top of it.
So we are selective, right? We don't cover everything Magic news related. We cover things that we think that our sort of design perspectives will add to, rather than just covering everything. But, something that we always are thinking about is like, how do we make videos for, an audience of people that really want to, that play games, and not just people who are interested in designing games.
Yeah.
We want our design to be able to talk about design topics specifically, but oftentimes we find that if we sort of package those design topics in a much more sort of like news relevant topic, those videos tend to do pretty well.
All right. Number 4 in most views, we have, are we in the biggest TCG bubble in history?
TCGs, get them while they're hot.
Yeah.
Infinite TCGs. They just keep coming.
There's more and more and more.
Riftbound, coming soon.
Mm-hmm. It's out now.
One Piece came out. When is that a while ago?
Yeah, it's a while ago.
Oh.
But Gundam's newer. Gundam, the very relevant anime.
It's classic.
Yeah. Kids, remember Gundam?
Remember Ninja Turtles?
8-year-olds.
Remember
Come,
Avatar?
bring your Gundam cards.
This one's a little surprising. And I think it was mostly because we weren't really sure if we could venture too far outside of the realm of Magic. And like I said, we tend to like wrap a design idea, design thesis inside of a Magic package. And this video was like, okay, well, what if we wrapped inside of a TCG package, like a broader scope of TCGs generally?
Whenever we've done that previously, when we get too broad, it usually doesn't lead to as many views, but previously it was always viewed as a long-term investment where it leads to less views, but hopefully there's more people that end up seeing us because of that. And I think in the latter half of this year, we've been seeing more out of those. So not in this list or mentioned anywhere, but we did like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis video. Now, of course, the way to make that work is we had to tie in with the title Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis. What can like Magic learn from this?
What can Magic learn from Yu-Gi-Oh!
And so like we had to have Magic in there somehow, but we knew like that was the way for us to be able to talk about this other thing and start opening those doors and widening that net so that people that are generally interested in TCGs might want to watch us.
But I am definitely interested in branching out, in this next year into probably with more of a focus on, independent TCGs too, or card games generally.
Number 3, we have Should You Proxy Magic Cards? Wizards needs to start having like a little public service announcement, like a card when you open a pack that's like you wouldn't steal a card, and it's like opens up like like an FBI warning to a DVD.
Ooh, okay. So this is really interesting because in the video we were. We didn't like fully give our like definitive perspective on proxies, just to sort of like clear the air on that. The video is not anti-proxy. Like it is just saying, hey, you can proxy if you want to, but hey, you might think about these drawbacks that come because of it.
Yeah.
You're sort of removing one of the avenues of like entropy into you optimizing the fun out of Magic if you're just going straight to, I'm going to proxy everything. And if you're in a play group where nobody else is proxying, then like you're going to be a power outlier. But if you have somebody in your playgroup who's spending a lot of money on Magic, it is an equalizer.
Right.
You should proxy. Yeah.
I think it's funny because I think anytime that we have some sort of an opinion that is not like completely anti-Wizards of the Coast or anti-corporation in that way, we just get called shills, and people end up like thinking that, oh, you guys just want to be on Wizards' good side or Hasbro's good side. And I'm like, you guys have never watched
you have not watched our video.
I think it's so funny when we have a video like this come out. I don't remember which video it was, but I think it might have been the next one on the list. So maybe I'll move on to this one.
Sure.
Magic is falling apart. Is Universes Beyond to blame? Is that it?
Yeah. And the thumbnail says players are pissed. Yeah.
Is that the one that we talk about Mark Rosewater?
It does seem like a lot of Magic players currently are going through what Mark has called the Dark Night. Universes Beyond has given that opportunity a multitude of times now with all of those goalpost shifts, right? It could be that like Universes Beyond at all was the line that you drew, and then they crossed that. And then it was Universes Beyond getting a complete set is the line where you draw the line, and then they cross that. And continue until you have a bunch of players that are like, well, I really love this game, but like this Universes Beyond thing was sort of my do not cross line, and they've crossed it multiple times now. The other part of this too is that like, so Mark is describing his Dark Knight and basically saying like, yeah, it was Commander for him, but he came around to it because, it's his job. Where with players, like, it's not your job, right? So like, I feel like the more times that Magic puts these Dark Knight moments in front of players, the more likely it is that people are going to drop off. Yes.
And his statements?
The Dark Knight idea, that not Batman the Dark Knight, but like the idea that players have this moment of like, Magic has changed beyond what I think of what Magic really is. And so do I want to quit the game now?
Right.
No, I don't quit the game.
Or
keep
yes,
playing.
Or yes, you do quit the game, and that's your Dark Knight moment.
When he was talking about his was Commander,
right? And so this was a term Mark Rosewater used on his blog, and I think what's funny is like, anytime, whenever we talk positively about Mark Rosewater, which we do frequently,
people get
so mad,
and like, it's wild.
Sorry, like I think Mark's contributions to game design and the game of Magic in general are like tremendous, and I don't think people quite understand the amount of value that he's provided.
Yeah, I think even in that video we said like, yeah, he can be a corporate shill and also one of the best game designers of all time simultaneously. Like those two things can be true, right? Like,
yeah, he's had a huge impact. He's changed the game in many positive ways.
All that being said, I would like to know honestly how he feels about Magic right now.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah. We need your...
I'll just leave it at that.
Your unedited response, Mark.
Good luck.
All right. Our most viewed video of the year was...
number 1? Did we already do 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our most viewed video of the year was Japan just broke CEDH by playing, what is the full title?
Zero interaction.
By playing zero interaction.
Or no interaction? Maybe no interaction. We've been talking about this for a while. And turns out Japan CEDH may have just broke the format. It's interesting because this does feel like a continuation of a trend, right? We've seen ROG Thras sort of rise through the ranks in CEDH US side. But now Japan CEDH is doing something particularly interesting that we have kind of been advocating for a while, which is zero interaction. The video is just kind of like a deck tech about Semi-Blue. I do think that like players probably found it interesting that it's a deck that's not playing any interaction. The deck itself apparently has not really performed very well since the video. However, I will say that like the meta of CDH shifted much more turbo, like right as this deck was happening. Yeah. And it definitely seemed like a way to break through more of that mid-range sort of stalemate.
Which we talked
meta.
about. We said that the only way that this deck doesn't end up seeing play is that everyone essentially goes turbo.
Goes turbo, yeah. Because turbo just totally wrecks this thing because it just goes right underneath it.
The only thing that you can do is be faster than this deck, essentially.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not convinced that like Semi-Blue is like a dead strategy, but it's probably just not a good meta choice right now. The next section we're going to move into is just sort of like notable videos. So either ones that we just sort of liked that we thought should have gotten more views, or most liked, most disliked, those kinds of things. So we're going to start off with our video that got the least views.
Yeah, it's got 7,200 views, and it's the Bazaar's biggest weaknesses and what could fix it.
It's a doo-doo video, apparently. So you've played quite a bit of the Bazaar at this point.
Yes.
I have played less, but through you, I have sort of experienced the game.
Whether you wanted to or not.
Yeah. We thought maybe we should sit down and talk about, I guess, I don't know if this is like our final opinions on the Bazaar, but I think maybe generally where the game is, and whether or not the decision-making in the game is meaningful. For us, games are a meaningful decision with an uncertain outcome and measurable results. And do we think the Bazaar fulfills all those criteria?
Yeah, this was about the fact that when you go up against a player in the Bazaar, you don't see any information about what their build is.
Oh, right. And so there's no way to like tech against them. You're right.
Right. And so instead, all you can do is just like worry about your own number going up as opposed to any sort of counterplay.
Yes. Right. Yeah, that was a good point. I wish I would have got more views.
I know.
Bummer. So let's move on to our most liked video. This one is the hidden structure in Magic that created the archetypes. Something we've talked about quite a bit is the strategy circle. The strategy circle consists of rush, economy, and defense. And these represent sort of the three most general ways that resources can be spent in sort of a resource management game. So today we thought we would expand upon the strategy circle and kind of explain what happens when particular strategies move into specific sections. So buckle up because this is gonna get crunchy.
It's a design video. Woo!
It's our video that is talking about the strategy circle and how when you zoom out one more layer on the strategy circle, you can see the different archetypes of Magic, like aggro and that sort of thing.
I think there's a strong correlation between our more designery videos and our like ratio.
Yes.
I think usually we get a smaller percentage of our viewers that really, really like hearing those design insights. And so they express that and like the video a lot, but they usually don't perform as well.
You're right. There is definitely a correlation between the design videos getting a lot more likes and getting less views. Next is our most disliked video. And this has a dislike ratio of 86.8%. And this was, is the Commander Hybrid Mana Change a mistake? We talked a little bit about the Commander changes already, but we did not realize how controversial the idea of Hybrid Mana becoming what Hybrid Mana is supposed to be, in it being an either or color. In being included in deck. We didn't realize how controversial that would be. So we thought we would do a deep dive specifically on the hybrid mana situation and just sort of weigh in from our sort of design perspective.
I was very upset at how many people were upset with us, only because shortly after our video came out, a lot of content creators were coming out with their take on the hybrid mana debacle. But I remember watching 33 Elk's video, and I think they did a video with Maldhound, and the majority of their comments were in agreement with them. They had the exact same take as we had.
So I have a hypothesis a little bit about what happened. Trinket Mage and Tomer from MTG Goldfish came out with their video like right after the announcement and were really negative, like really like, this is a terrible idea. They shouldn't make this change. There's all kinds of negative ramifications and it's going to be a huge, huge, huge deal. With us coming out like right afterward and having like the exact opposite take of them, I feel like we kind of stepped in it a little bit, where maybe we could have waited for things to cool off and just sort of like, okay, let's wait for sort of the initial fervor to die down, and then we'll sort of come in and say, hey, this is what our thoughts are. I think our main point that we were really trying to get across with this video was just that like there is kind of a problem in Commander with 3-color and 4-color decks just being the best things to play, because the more colors you play, the more staples you get access to, and with it being such a staple heavy format, that tends to sort of snowball into 3 and 4-color decks. And this hybrid mana change would be able to like hopefully help out monocolor and 2-color decks, because it makes it the more colored pips on a card, whether they're a split color pip or a solid color pip, makes it more difficult to cast the spell in decks that are spreading their mana too thin. Okay, so now we wanted to point out a few videos that we sort of wish had gotten more views, that we thought were like some of our better videos, but just didn't sort of catch the algorithm as much as we would have liked. And the first one that I put on the list was the one that actually got the most likes, ironically, which was the hidden structure in Magic that created the archetypes. I think that this is up there with like our best videos in terms of like really helping to bridge the gap between the strategy circle, you know, we talk about it as rush economy and defense, and then sort of zooming out and then making that like connecting the dots between that and how players sort of perceive the archetypes in Magic.
Yeah, I think I don't know if this is exactly how you feel, but I guess how I kind of feel about when we talk about more game designer-y things, we have such our own language that we've slowly developed from being around each other and like playing games with each other and learning about game design and stuff and evaluating these things, that I feel like when we talk about game design stuff and we try and like teach it, a big part of that is trying to get and bring people into our language so that they understand. So it's like, it's almost like if you could see the world through this lens, like you could understand this in the way that we're understanding this. And that's why it can be frustrating sometimes when we end up having a video that's not super game design focused, and maybe we're kind of touching on like systems of Commander or something, and like this is what leads to externalities, or this is kind of a bystander problem or whatever. Like having those game design centered videos is trying to bring people into the language so that you can understand what we're talking about when we're talking about those subjects. Because I really think like if you understood what we're discussing and you understood it on a deeper level, on a fundamental level, that you could see what we're talking about and see these potential issues.
Well, and like part of the goal of the channel is to try to bring people along with us, right? We try to like make sure that we're explaining things in a way that hopefully invites people in to sort of a systems mindset, right? Like thinking about things in terms of systems and not just like just the aesthetics of your experience, right? Like what are the mechanisms at work that have shaped that experience that you had? And you know, I think we've had varying levels of success of being able to do this, but this video in particular was one where I was like, this to me helps really bridge that gap. So what's your video?
Mine is also a hidden structure video, apparently.
Oh, well, are we seeing a pattern of the videos that aren't getting the views that we want?
So we'll no longer use the term
the hidden structure. We'll get rid of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
The hidden structure behind every game is about resource systems.
There's been a lot of card games coming out lately.
Yeah.
Like
Riftbound, Altered.
There's all the
Dragon Ball Fusion World. I think that's what it's called.
I think it's just Fusion.
One Piece TCG.
Yeah.
Gundam TCG.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm lying. Like I'm looking this up. I know all these. I feel like this is something that we brought up recently. Maybe it was in our Riftbound review, where we kind of talked about how, you know what? It was the comparison of Riftbound to Magic video that we did recently, where we talk about like resource systems help set the pace and the tone of your game, and everything is just a combination of resources and actions, right? And like if you have any sort of a resource system that's some sort of a manipulatable resource system, you're essentially playing the resource management game. You know, if it were to really be in a quintessential form, right? That's brought to its most fundamental form. It's the same game in a way, right? And this is what sort of creates the strategy circle. It's what creates these archetypes that are available because you're allowed to invest in resources. Not every game has resources, but when they do, how you obtain those ends up changing how you experience the game.
Yeah, and even games that like seem like they don't have resources oftentimes do. Yeah. Where it's, even like something like Yu-Gi-Oh, like your resources are just the cards, right? It's a card advantage, right? Then there's also like summons and a few other little things here and there.
Yeah,
but
not that they pay attention to that anymore. But,
sure,
yeah.
Right? But there's still some constraint somewhere that sort of is like, oh, what is the function that this card is serving? Maybe a card serves multiple purposes. And I think, sort of like distilling a game down to its most essential in terms of like, well, each turn I'm given X number of resources and I can allocate them where I want to in terms of like, am I attempting to win the game now with my resources? Am I investing my resources to get more resources later? Or am I using my resources to stop my opponent from winning? And that's really just sort of like the three ways that you could spend the resources. You could spend them in other ways that have sort of nothing to do with those three things, but they aren't moving you towards the the win condition in any meaningful way. It just means that it's just superfluous, right? It's not a viable way to spend those resources.
I wish generally our game design stuff gets better views, and we're casting a wider net, right, by grabbing TCG audiences, and then so I'm sure every time we do a game design one, it's going to just get better and better and better.
All right, so our most surprising video of the year, was
Beyblade.
Let it rip. You came to me the other day, and you were like, I really want to talk about Beyblade, and I was like, what? Like, what? No way! Come on! And then over the course of the conversation, you convinced me that we need to talk about Beyblade. In this episode, we're going to attempt, I think, to convince people that this is the most exciting game.
Gavin, we aren't attempting. We are going to convince people.
That's fair.
That
okay.
This is the most exciting game.
By the end of this video, we will convince you that Beyblade is the most exciting game to be released in decades?
A millennium. My brother helped a lot with research for that video because he's very much into the Beyblade competitive scene. Ended up like hearing about it showing up in different corners of the internet. People playing Beyblade. We were actually invited to go, and I think we declined, but ended up being invited to go and act as spectators at a official Beyblade tournament organized like on the East Coast or something. Yeah,
we were like, not exactly our scene.
I mean, if we knew more about Beyblade and we're more invested, then sure. I have a huge admiration for Beyblade. I grew up with it. And so I really wanted to try and have a Beyblade video come out. So, I think like was I just threatening at some point, like telling you like, I'm just going to buy them and we're going to talk about it or something. Cause I feel like you showed up and like that day I was like, we're going to go buy Beyblades, and we went to Target and bought them.
Yeah. I think we had been talking about it for a little bit.
Okay.
And I will admit that I was less convinced that it was something that we should be talking about because I do think that, look, to me, it's actually quite similar to like an auto battler in a way. It's like a physical auto battler in that, like, yes, you have some amount of like impact on how you build your top and how you spin it. But then once it's going, it's like, well, now variance and the randomness of physics is at work. And so
yeah,
I still think it is quite interesting. And after doing the research to do the video, I was like, oh, okay, there's actually more here than what I was expecting. So it was interesting. It's a very unique game.
We've had a lot of discussion since on, as game designers should, probably, is how to test the actual not efficacy, but like the returns to skill.
Yeah, the returns to skill.
How much randomness has to do, how much physics has to do with it. So we've talked many times about what type of tests you'd actually have to do. How many times would you have to do those tests in order to get accurate data? I don't think we'll ever do it.
Probably not going to do that video.
We'd have to make a whole contraption. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So might be the last Beyblade video.
Maybe. We'll see.
But we'll see.
All right. So next section, I wanted to talk about things that we got wrong, things that we wish we would have done a little differently. And the one that comes to mind for me was the interview with Logan about CEDH. So Logan, welcome. Why don't you tell us who you are, where you're from, what you're doing here?
My name is Logan Doan. I'm one of the founding members of Critical EDH. We're a group of tournament grinders, CEDH tournament grinders out of Denver, Colorado. And we're also caretakers of the largest league online. So we have 475 players.
So you're fairly familiar with CEDH then?
Officially on Top Deck, I've played 47 tournaments in the past year.
Nice. I wish I hadn't cut it like a normal episode. My inclination was that I needed to make the interview sort of as watchable as possible. And I think what ended up happening was it made it seem like it was sort of like cutting Logan out of context, or like cutting off some of the things that he was saying, or just generally like made it seem like less of a good faith interview than it was generally. The interview was really long. It was like an hour and a half long. So in order for it to be posted to the channel, I did think it needed to be cut down. But I cut it down really brutally, like I do with some of our videos, and I should have like cut us and left as much of Logan stuff in there as possible. Now, I didn't cut anything or change context of anything. Like basically, if I was cutting something, I cut out the whole question. Like there were a series of questions that just didn't end up being all that relevant to the conversation. And any of the responses and things that are in the video aren't clipped out of context or anything. They're just edited for stumbling on words or just sort of looping back around to things that he was already saying anyway. But I do wish, and going forward, if we do any other interview episodes, which we probably will, I'm definitely going to have a lighter touch in terms of editing on the interview episodes, just to make sure that people are expressing their thoughts fully and everybody gets the whole context of the episode. So what else did we get wrong, Forrest?
At this point, we've gotten pretty comfortable with this format. We have our process. We generally know like how we outline videos. We get a sense for what feels like a worthwhile video or not a worthwhile video. Yeah. But I think moving forward, we've talked a bit about like how do we expand the channel? Like what are those next steps and how do we break that format, right? Because the toughest thing it feels like for any sort of a YouTuber that's running a channel is to figure out like how do you branch out without plummeting your views and alienating your audience. And like that was something that was kind of a risk that we took with doing something like the interview. Talking about different games is a risk, but less of a risk because that's still within the bubble of games, right? And although the interview is in relation to Magic, it's such a different departure from our usual format. It also makes it very difficult for us to package it. And so, you know, we're always talking about like, how do we actually end up having a good enough hook that gets people interested in what we're going to be talking about? And when it's an interview, we want to make sure that it's like candid and honest and that like the other person feels like they have an opportunity to, you know, feel comfortable and chat with us. And so like it's harder for us to, feel like we want to, it's harder for us to feel like we want to have any sort of like a gotcha title or something, right? Because like if we have some sort of a salacious title, we don't want that salacious title to then be associated with this person if they weren't comfortable with that.
Which is one of the reasons why the episode is called What We Got Wrong About CEDH, because it's like, well, hopefully people are interested in us, you know, reanalyzing the things that we think about CEDH and whether they're correct. And that way, like the sort of the salaciousness or whatever you want to call it is on our end and not on the person we're interviewing. So.
Right. And so I think, and you know, when it comes to having other types of formats, you know, we've talked about like gameplay videos, we've talked about like other interviews, we've talked about lots of different approaches of what we could try, but there's like risk in that. But I think that figuring out what that way of expanding the channel will be moving forward will be helpful, because I think there's lots of different ways that things could go.
Okay, well, let's move into what's next. Some of the things that we have on the docket is a membership, YouTube membership / Patreon. But we do want some feedback from you guys. So if you have any ideas of things that you would like to see in a Patreon from us, anything in particular, just let us know in the comments, or join the Discord. You can let us know there as well. So we're just looking for input from everybody in terms of like what you would want for little extras and things. Also, we plan on continuing to invest our time in the Discord. Currently, it's shaping up to be a pretty good resource for game designers generally, people bringing in their games, and we do a monthly playtest night. I think a lot of people don't know that that's going on because we just don't tend to talk about it that much. But yeah, once a month we all get together and test our games. Usually last Thursday of the month.
It's not just for game designers. So if you're hesitant to make a game, or you're just interested or an enthusiast, like, we really need playtesters as well.
It's also just a cool place to hang out.
Yeah, and so
good conversations and stuff.
If you like what we talk about on the videos here, like, it's pretty much just more of that, and then a deeper look into, what we're working on personally and what other people are working on as well. Lots of cool stuff.
Finally, we should talk a little bit about the games we're working on.
Probably.
Maybe a little bit, but there's some stuff maybe we're not quite ready to discuss just yet.
No,
but
go ahead, tell us everything.
Your game's gonna be coming out next year, right?
If everything works out, yeah. Yeah. I guess I could talk a little bit about Void Monster.
Oh yeah,
of
course.
Yeah, this year I started Void Monster as a TCG accessories and apparel and stuff, and so next year I'll be spending a lot more time on that, growing that quite a bit. And if all works out, yes, I should have a Kickstarter, hopefully, crossing my fingers, by June.
But yeah, so did you want to talk about the game at all, or you still want to keep it on the down low? Or
yeah, I mean, if I talk about it, I should just probably set expectations. Not a TCG,
right?
It's a very small, family-friendly game. It's a small drafting game. I'd say the way I've been pitching it is it's like Pokemon meets Sushi Go. If you like the idea of fun, casual catching / some randomness with a little bit of drafting. That's sort of the intention of it, and so testing has been going really well. Very happy with where it's at. It still has some kinks to work out, but it's getting to that point that art's starting to be finalized for it, starting to work out like a box design and stuff. So it's getting pretty far along. And then you have 2 games. But do you want to talk about both? Or
yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah. Well, Bullets and Teeth and Aliens came out this year. We funded the first print run through Kickstarter. There will be games available shortly in terms of you can just order it through websites and whatever. We'll make an announcement on the when that's available. And then after that, Bullets and Teeth and Dinosaurs will probably be the next Bullets and Teeth game that's coming out, which will be quite similar in terms of the same kind of mold, but like a new story, all new cards, all new art and everything. And then, the other project I'm kind of working on right now, it's Bullets and Teeth is a co-op system, and the new game will be 1v1, and also 4-player free-for-all. Next year, we'll probably start doing playtesting in the Discord, getting people familiar with the game and just sort of getting a lot of those initial balancing kinks and things worked out. But I've already started the art on it, so theoretically next year playtesting will start.
You started playtesting in the Discord.
I do playtesting sporadically, that's true, but I formalized playtesting should start in the Discord next year. So. Yeah. But yeah, it's a fantasy setting, trying to recapture some of that 60 card Magic vibe that I miss so much. So there's about 250 pieces of art that needs to get done, which doing 250 pieces of art by yourself is a pretty big undertaking. I
mean, as this grows, right, I think a lot of the support from distraction makers and from dinos and the eventual additional alien sales and stuff, it's all just going to go right back into it.
Yeah. So using that and use that to build up the next game. So thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel and liking, subscribing, and coming with us on this journey, because it's been crazy. It's been awesome.
Thanks for being here. If you enjoyed watching us this last year and you want us to stick around for another year, please feel free to give us a like and a subscribe, maybe a comment down below.
Yeah, also in the comments, make sure to let us know what you're looking for in sort of the membership Patreon thing, just if you have any ideas, anything specific. And also make sure to join the Discord. Like we said, it's a growing community of game designers and people that are interested in sort of independent game creation generally. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next one.